The Dr. Melissa Show and the Stories That Shape Us is sponsored by CNY Mental Health Counseling. Welcome to the Dr. Melissa Show. This podcast is brought to you by CNY Mental Health Counseling. This podcast is about the stories that shape us. I'm here to hold space for real conversations, the kind that make us think, that dive beneath the surface, and that force us to face the truth about who we are, how we got here, and what truly matters. And before we dive in, a quick note, this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and not a substitute for professional mental health services. So let's get into today's episode. Eric Devendorf is a former professional basketball player and current expert coach and broadcast basketball commentator. With over a decade of experience in coaching and player development, he has mentored athletes at the youth, high school, college, and professional levels. After playing for Syracuse University, where he scored 1,680 points, Eric enjoyed a successful 7-year professional career in the NBA, D-League, and internationally. He later returned to Syracuse as a player development coach and served as an assistant coach at Detroit Mercy. Today, Eric runs ED23 Hoops, a basketball training initiative that offers individual and group training, camps, clinics, as well as AAU teams for boys and girls. He also runs ED23 Foundation, which focuses on giving back to the Central New York community. Through the foundation, Eric organizes annual turkey drives, provides scholarships, and leads programs that empower underserved youth. His work impacts the lives of children and families, promoting education, sports, and opportunities for personal growth. Eric's commitment to philanthropy and youth development continues to make a positive difference in the community he calls home. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. So I didn't write up that bio. Somebody wrote it up for me, but it sounds really good.
It sounds really good. You're like, yeah. Man, I'm impressive.
Right. No, it's been a journey, but it's been a rewarding one.
Yeah. So you've been in Syracuse for a bit now, right? This is where you call home.
I've been in Syracuse since 2005. Yeah.
Okay. 2005. That was your freshman year?
That was my freshman year, yep.
So funny thing, and I mentioned this to you when I asked you to come on the show. So I taught Eric 20 years ago when he was a student at SU. We're trying to figure out maybe freshman year, maybe sophomore year.
Yeah, totally forgot.
He doesn't remember. I remember. He's saying I wasn't really locked in then. I'm like, well, you must have faked it. Because I remember I'm like, I wasn't a huge basketball fan. Like, I didn't pay much attention to sports, but I taught this class for 3 years that I absolutely loved while I was at SU in my doc program. And it was college success strategies. And it was all the D1 athletes who had to come in and basically and it was the coolest class. It was like I got to completely construct and strategize how to teach you guys to navigate being a student athlete, like who you really are as people. Yeah. I mean, we read the book Tuesdays with Maury. It's okay if you don't remember that.
Okay, no, I do remember that one.
You do?
Yep.
You do?
Yep.
All right.
I do, because Mitch Albom he's from Michigan. He did Detroit Free Press. So.
Yeah. He's a broadcaster.
I know Mitch. Yeah.
Do you actually know Mitch Albom?
I mean, I've had a few interactions with him, yes. And he did, so growing up when I was playing basketball in Michigan, he voted on like the all-state teams and stuff like that.
Way.
And he was, So
like high school, like when you're in high school.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's my all-time favorite book.
Okay.
Like of all time, of all the bajillion books that I've read.
Yeah.
And it's because it really gets to the heart of like how people should do life.
Right.
Right. And it's not that you have it created and figured out on your own. It's learning from other people and learning through relationships. And so to bring that to 18 to 20-year-old kids who are excellent, like top of the top in whatever it is, whatever sport they're doing. And that's what lands them at SU.
Yeah.
And to have them come into the class where I'm like, okay, now let's get down and dirty. Like, who are you? What are your core values? If your house catches on fire, what are you bringing with you? Like, what is your personality type? And teaching all that stuff. I loved it.
Yeah. And at that age, for me, I probably wasn't ready for that, as far as to have that conversation. Because, I tell everyone when I came into Syracuse, they asked me, hey, what did you go to school for? And I said, well, to play basketball. That's what... that's what I was there to do. But there's a whole nother side, right? There's the athlete and then there's the student. Yeah. And the athlete only lasts for so long. So it took me a while to really figure that part out and understand. But I know I always had like a heart of gold inside of me. My parents have always taught me to give back and be humble. And just was really blessed and grateful to have the opportunity to go to a lot of different colleges. I was a top 25 basketball player coming out of high school in Michigan.
And partially thanks to Mitch Albom.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. But I had the opportunity to go to whatever school I wanted to.
Yeah.
And then, I landed on Syracuse, and I always say everything happens for a reason. I have my girls here, and I ended up staying here for a while after playing basketball here. But Syracuse is it really taught me a lot about myself. It taught me more about community. And I'm super grateful and fortunate to be a part of this community.
That's awesome. And you're obviously giving back and demonstrating that, like your loyalty and your commitment to the community in so many ways.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to.
Right.
And so tell me more about that journey for you, because you mentioned okay, it was almost like laser focus. I am a basketball player for probably the majority of your life.
Early. So 7 years old. I always tell people I was lucky to find out what I wanted to do with my life early. Like
how? How'd you know?
Oh, it was just a passion I had right away. It was something my dad introduced me to, and he wasn't a high level basketball player. He played in high school, but he had a passion for the game.
So you're just out in the driveway,
every
shooting
day.
Around.
So 7 years old, every single day. Before school, didn't matter rain, sleet, or snow. For Michigan, weather is similar to Syracuse.
Yeah.
So. Wintertime, I'm out there chipping the ice with the ice chipper, shoveling the snow. And it was just something that I wasn't even really thinking about being better. I just enjoyed doing it. And then obviously when you continually do something day in and day out, and I'm talking about day in and day out, all day, that's what I did. I carried the basketball with me from school back home. And, when I was done with practice, I was going again. So that was something that I fell in love with early on. And I think it taught me, and I tell kids all the time, sports does this for you. It teaches you hard work, discipline, being consistent, working through adversity, working as a team. And those are the things that I learned early on without even knowing. Because I just love to play basketball. So those things come with it. Like those things are like working with the team and working through different adversities. Those are going to come about when you're playing basketball. The hard work, putting the time in. But again, I enjoy doing it, and I think when you find your passion and you enjoy doing it, those things are going to come about. But you're not really looking at it as problems or challenges. You're going to figure out a way how to get it done. So basketball did that for me early on. And then when we get into adulthood, obviously, those things come to the forefront more so. But
you get tested at that point.
Exactly. And I guess as a kid, I didn't really look at it like that. It was just like, all right, I'm going to figure out because I love doing this. So
what did you love about it? Like early on, those early years, 7 to 10, say, when you're starting to shoot around with your dad, but it sounds like more internally driven from you. It wasn't like pressure.
Well, the competition piece or challenging myself. I used to sit out there and see how many shots I could make in a row, or, when I'm watching NBA games, go out there and try to mimic the moves that these guys were doing, and just challenge myself to different dribbling moves or whatever it is. And, I always had the mindset that I could do it. So day in and day out, I tried it, and it wasn't a day that I missed. I think if I did miss a day or we had something going on as a family, it would bother me, So I would always find a way, whether we were out of town or whatever it is, to find a hoop. And my mom and my dad knew that. And I was lucky that they really supported that. So when we were out of town somewhere, we'd always find a hoop. We'd always have time.
Like, Eric needs a hoop. This is what we got to do. We need dinner and a hoop.
Yeah. So they set aside time to where they made sure I could get my shots up. And if we went on a little family vacation, there'd be a rim there. Mm-hmm. I remember specifically everywhere we went, they made sure it was a place where I could play basketball. So I just love to do it. I love the competition piece. And I just fell in love with the game early. It was something that I just really enjoyed doing.
Did it ever become like an obligation? Like at any point in your...
Never.
For you?
Never. Basketball?
Yeah.
Never. No, it was, again, I just loved to do it. And I was the odd man out because I'm from Bay City, Michigan. So little city, 30,000 people, 25 to 30,000 people. Not a lot of people were, they were playing sports, but they didn't have that drive. We didn't have college athletes coming out of there. Flint, Saginaw, Detroit, more so athletes, and they had more, college people, college athletes
like bigger
coming
cities.
out. Yeah, absolutely. But the city where I'm from, we didn't have any. I think it was the first, and I couldn't even tell you how many years, but I was the odd man out because I was, missing the school dances. I wasn't hanging out with friends like that. If you want to come hang out, we were playing basketball. That's what we were doing. So, but I didn't let that affect me and stop me from continuing to play. No matter what people say, people say, hey, you're weird. Why you always do this every day?
Other kids would say that to you, or who would say that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, other kids. Yeah,
they're like, come on, we want to go hang out with these girls, or we want to go to the dance.
No question. And I didn't flinch. I was always locked in. And
do you think you're just born that way?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I was just born with that trait to where I kind of let things just roll off my back. I don't really try to look too deep into what people are saying or their opinions. I think as you become an adult, you grow older, that stuff starts to affect you maybe a little bit more. But as a kid, you don't really know. You don't really know that they're teasing or whatever it might be. I remember I had adults like in the morning when I was playing outside early. It'd be like 5:30. I'd go out and shoot before school, and neighbors used to be like, go back inside, go to sleep. And then I remember my dad would take care of that, though.
What would he do?
Well, I don't specifically know what he would do, but I know, that wouldn't have been a problem. He was like, look, he probably would have said what he had to say. And he's like, look, this kid is focused. He's driven.
Like, what is the actual problem?
Yeah, it's not. There wasn't a problem. So
right.
I had the support from my parents from an early age.
What would they say to you about it? Like, what would they say to you about loving basketball, playing basketball?
Not really. They didn't really say too much. They just support me whatever I want to do, whether it be part of this camp or, hey, Mom, could you take me here? I'm going to go play. They did it, without question. They'd take me to the gyms. They'd take me to the park. They'd put me in the camp, whatever it would be. They'd find a way how to get their money together and make sure I could be a part of it. So it's not so much what they said, but it's what they did.
Mm-hmm. And it also sounds like they would be right there, but you were navigating that ship. Right? Like you were saying, I want to do this, and then they would make it happen for you.
Never one time did they force me. And I remember I used to hear people say, oh, his dad's forced him to play. Never one time did he make me go outside and play or any of that. Maybe he would have said, hey, if you want to be good at it, you got to continue to, practice and stick with it. But never one time did he force me. And my mom, definitely not. She was just laid back. She was just kind of going with the flow.
Like, as long as you're happy, we're happy.
That's it. So never one time was I forced. That was something that I put on my mind and in my heart from an early age that this is what I was going to do.
Well, I think it's so hard too, because like now I am a mom of kids and I grew up doing athletics a lot, right. From an early age and in the clubs and like all that kind of stuff, doing, the competitive level sports from the time you're like 6, 7, 8 years old, you're doing at that level. And now it's that on steroids.
Much different now. It's a more of a money driven now. It's not just, I guess natural, you would say. It's much, well, there's a lot of money in youth sports, people can make a lot of money. So, and that's why youth sports are down. And that's why I guess you would say it's not like for the love of the game, it's more forced upon these kids. Hey, this is what you could get.
We're going to sign you up.
Yeah. My mom and dad they weren't thinking like, hey, we're going to make a bunch of money from this. They just, hey, he loves to do this. It's keeping him out of trouble. He's like, regardless if he's running around, we know what he's doing. We know where he's at. He's at the park. They didn't have to worry about where I was. They knew where I was. I was at the park or I was at the Y. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have cell phones or anything back then.
But they knew where to find you anyway.
They knew where to find me. I'd call on the YMCA phone, tell them where I'd be, and I'd go across the street, get a bag of chips, a juice, and go back into the gym. That's just how it was. But yeah, it's totally different nowadays. It's more money driven, and I think the parents are way too much involved now.
Yeah, what do you make of that? And what would your advice be to parents who are maybe even trying to like foster that? Like, okay, I'm going to have this elite athlete. They're going to go get a scholarship for college. And God knows what else they're thinking, but there's so much pressure.
Right. And look, I get it. It takes a lot of pressure off the parents when you don't have to pay for college. I get
right,
it.
But statistically, there are very, very few who are ever going to get even a D3 scholarship
less
for college.
Than 1%.
Right.
And I do camps all over, and I tell the kids that when I do the camps, it's more so teaching them about the life skills they learn from the sports rather than you want to be good at basketball. I don't want to ruin your dream, but this is more of what you're gonna get out of it. I mean, my advice to the parents now would just be, let them figure it out on their own. Don't baby them. Put them into organized sports, and if they ended up like it, just support it. That's all you could do, because if not, you're living through them. It's really you wanting them to do it and not them wanting to do it, and that burns out.
What do you say to those parents? I'm sure you see them. I see them
all
who
the
are
time.
living vicariously through their kids. What do you say to them?
You gotta just sit back, fall back, because this isn't your life. This is your kids, and you're putting so much pressure on these kids, and like I said, eventually it'll burn out. They'll get to a stage where like they don't even really like it. They don't even know if they really know if they like it yet. They're 100%. Just starting out. So let them do whatever they want. Football, baseball, basketball, soccer, whatever it is. They really love it, they'll come back to it. And then you're just there to support, them continually to do it. And, if you get to be where you're a high level athlete, that's awesome. If not, you've learned a lot of good skills, life skills, from sports.
Well, and I can tell you too, from working, like I said, I taught a lot of D1 athletes at SU and have worked with a ton of both elite athletes and professional athletes in my work as a counselor. And I can tell you that every single one says the same thing, that there is 100% no way that they would be as successful as they are if it was coming from something or someone external. Yeah. It's got to be that passion driven, because there is no way to stick with it and have as much, hard work ethic as it requires to be in it.
And how it's rare that as a young kid, you find your passion that early on. I mean, adults don't know what they like to do. You know what I mean? So to be able to find that passion, I was pretty blessed to be able to find it early, like I said. And then basketball opened up all types of doors for me in relationships and connections. But you got to let the kid figure out, does he like it? Does she like it? If not, you're forcing it upon them, and then nothing really, out. And nothing good happens out of that when it's forced on anything, right? We're talking about sports, but anything. If you're forcing something, it's not in the flow.
Totally, the same as with academics. I see that too, where it's parents, saying you have to get this grade, you have to take these classes, and it's all excel, achieve, and people get burnt out, people get depressed, they get clinical levels of anxiety. It's a hot mess.
Absolutely, you just kind of have to. It's like the ebb and flow, right? You just kind of have to let it. Once there's like a blockage, then everything seems to kind of chaos, So you just kind of have to let it happen, and you're going to learn as you go with it. Do I really like this? Do I really want to deal with this? Do I really want to go through these type of challenges? And then if you do, and continue with it, the challenges and adversity is going to make you better. But you're not even going to look at it like that because you love what you're doing. It's your passion.
It's a growth then.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about like adversities that you experienced and like what you had to navigate through your process and your journey.
Yeah. So early on, I think just, like I said, I'm from a little town. Nobody's ever done it. So people doubting you. I remember, even like being at open gyms, I always play with older kids and maybe kids or adults who didn't get to where they wanted to go, and now they're projecting that on you. Oh, you'll never, go to college because this coach he's not going to allow you to do this, and that. So those little challenges, those little adversities, just people doubting you or giving their opinions.
How would that impact you?
Again, I was lucky enough to like really not even pay attention to it.
But you remember it.
I remember it, but I loved it so much that I was going to do it regardless. I wasn't thinking like anyone was going to stop me.
But it makes it so that you think about like where it's coming from within them, right? And I hear you analyzing that almost, where it's just like maybe they didn't get to where they wanted to be, and so they're projecting that now onto me, and maybe they're resentful that I represent something that they couldn't achieve.
Yeah, and now obviously being an adult, I know that. Back then, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
just somebody. I guess we'd call it people hating on you or whatever, right?
Right. And it sounds like you had a great foundation where that
Yes.
wasn't like necessarily threatening. But I think for a lot of kids who are maybe a little bit more sensitive or fragile in a way, it can be really detrimental to have their community almost like turn on them or not completely support them. It's all right, if they don't support me, then why should I believe in myself?
Right. And again, I had the support from my family and my parents, so it didn't really matter what the outside world was saying.
So it sounds like your parents protected you in many ways. Like they gave you that foundation where you could hear it, but it would just bounce off you. Like it didn't really permeate you or impact you in a big way.
Yeah. Again, they protected me without really like showing me that they were protecting me.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember one time specifically, I played in a game in high school, which was like a charity game. Somebody filmed it, told on me. It was against high school rules. I got suspended for a number of games in high school. So just like those little things.
Wait, what? You played in a charity game. Somebody told on you for playing in it, and that was against school rules? Why would that be against school rules?
I guess some with Michigan high school rules, you couldn't play in a game while you're playing in the season. I don't know what it was, but again, I was 15 years old. Whatever I could play in, whatever I got a chance to play, I would play. So,
but also that somebody blew you in, that was a.
And I had success from a young age with basketball. So
people probably hated you for that.
Since I was, fourth grade or whatever it was. So yeah, people saw that. There wasn't a lot of that going on in Bay City. So yeah, you were going to find people that, want to try to discourage me or, try to limit that exposure, I guess you could say, to, better things. So yeah, my parents, they did a great job of making sure I was supported and keeping me away from the negativity.
Would they say anything to you about that? Like let it roll off your back or whatever?
It just basically stay focused. Keep focus on basketball and what you're doing. We'll take care of all the extracurricular activity stuff. But they were always there. They always supported me whenever I needed to get somewhere for basketball. They made sure I was there. So, I guess like with anything, when you have success at it, especially at a young age, people are going to try to discourage you. They're going to try to detour you like to a different whatever. But I was lucky enough to have that support to where it really didn't affect me, that much.
What about like fast forward to college then, when you're on this big stage and, like really there's this pressure to now live up to this expectation, playing on this SU team. What was that like for you? Because even just being around at that time, even not being all that involved, like you'd hear these little peripheral statements, of like, did you have a bad boy rep?
Oh, yeah, for sure I did. Early on, because I had tattoos at a young age and how I carry myself on the court. I talk trash. But I when I got on the court, that was like my stage, right, to perform, and I loved it. I loved people going at me, yelling at me in the crowd because I knew I was going to be able to perform, so it kind of like motivated me in a sense to keep going and play even harder. So I always tell people when people started talking trash to me, that's really when I started to turn it up a little bit more. So, and I was used to that at a young age because I was playing all over the country in high school. From Bay City Central, I went to Oak Hill Academy, which is where Carmelo went. Kevin Durant was on my team. Ty Lawson, a bunch of NBA guys. So that stage was already a high level stage.
Yeah, you were used to that then.
Yeah, playing in front of the best of the best. So when I got to Syracuse, it wasn't really much of a change. Faster pace, more athletes, but for me, the pressure wasn't really about the pressure. It was just, if anything, I put more pressure on myself.
Yeah, what changed then?
What changed?
So that you were putting more pressure on yourself then.
Just for me, like I put all this hard work in, by myself. So it's up to me to perform. I don't want to let all this hard work go to waste.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like it wasn't the first experience that you had being on this big stage, right? And needing to live up to this expectation. Like you had already had that. And yet here you are again, right? So the other thing is that I hear in what you're saying is that maybe you didn't register it when you were younger, but the impact that all those negative comments had at home really did fuel you in a way. Yeah. It almost is like you had to create a barrier to protect yourself, which you were doing in natural ways.
Yeah.
But it also motivated you. It also like fueled you and lit this fire where you're like, I'll prove you wrong. So it sounds like by the time you got to SU, things were shifting a little bit and you were putting more pressure on yourself. Right. So, and you said you worked so hard. You'd been working essentially by yourself, playing by yourself, and you're playing with all these teams and like these incredible people. And, you know, it was at prep school.
Yes. Boarding school. Oak Hill is considered boarding. Yeah. So again, I was always putting pressure on myself at a young age because all the work that I put in, I wanted to make sure that it was all worth it, right? So, and I always wanted to do good for myself. It was something that I just wanted to be able to perform. Like I wanted to go out there and play well for myself. It was just kind of like a pride thing, right? So,
did you have an end in sight? Like once I hit this mile marker, I will have been successful. I will have reached my goal.
Yeah, not really. I think obviously the NBA, right? But it was just me. I just wanted to, always play well. I mean, I think when you do something and you put so much work into it, you want it to work out. And I think in some ways that kind of hindered me going into adulthood because I did put so much pressure on myself and sometimes maybe too much to where you're disappointing yourself, so to speak, right? And worried about the expectations of others, because when you do play on a big stage, it gets to the point where people start talking about you a lot and they're writing about you in the papers and they're doing this and that, blogs, whatever it is, and I'd be lying if you didn't feel that or if you didn't read it. So
what did that feel like for you? Because I could even imagine, like I said, like I do have memories of you sitting in my class. You're quiet.
Yeah. You
did your thing. But you and we were joking right before we started recording, like that you'd have the team managers would come in every single day and they would make sure that the athletes and their roster were in the class. You had to be physically present. I'd have to give them a thumbs up or whatever.
Right.
They would check in. They'd email, hey, is Eric coming to class? Is he doing okay? Like there was a lot of accountability. I think that they made sure that you guys were doing what you needed to do as student athletes. But at the same time, it's like you needed to play by their rules. Like you were not just here to play basketball. Like you had to do the student piece and you had to do it well.
Yeah. So it was a lot that came because I was just used to playing basketball, right? So it was a lot more that came with it. You had to show up to class. You had study sessions. We had practice. You had studies. You had then they had like the food that we did after they call it study table. So yeah, it was a lot of time management, stuff that I didn't learn at a young age. It was just kind of more free, So I think that I learned how to deal with it as I got more of it. But at a young age, when you have all that thrown at you, it could be a lot sometimes. So and I think as athletes, especially back then, we didn't really have an outlet to or somebody to talk to it about. It was just like deal with it or work harder, know. So and
do you think you would have taken advantage of something like that? Like if they had in-house counseling or like that is what I do now, but it's for people who find me.
Yeah, maybe not because how I grew up, and the coaches that I've had, they just say, hey, deal with it, work through it. Like, so it wasn't
let it roll off your back.
Yeah, and the stuff that was bothering you didn't really know what it was.
Right.
It was just kind of like we dealt with it and we kept it in internally. So
when you look back now, like you sitting here now, looking back on that time when you're in your early 20s or even earlier than that, like 18, 19 years old, what was bothering you then? Like as you think retrospectively, remember that time.
You know what? Not a lot. I mean, I think the only thing that would bother me if I wasn't able to perform, and again, you things people said did bother you, but you wouldn't admit that to people because it's like a weakness, so to speak, right? People, you again play through it. People are going to say stuff. You got to be able to play through that stuff. So it's a lot for a young kid, you know, in the spotlight, coming from a city that never had that. You know, you kind of carrying that on your shoulders as well, and the expectations coming from back home, and for you to do well. And you know, when you think about the athletes who do so well for a certain period of time, then they don't make it to the level that they're expected to, and then they go back home, and then they just, you know, start working a regular 9 to 5. I mean, that's a lot on their mental health, you know, and you know, these people are looking at me a certain type of way now, or they're looking at me as a failure, when, you know, that's not the case. And it's hard for athletes to deal with that, you know, the transition, so to speak, when it's done. You know, what am I going to do? And I was lucky enough to be able to keep basketball, you know, into what I'm doing, and when I was done playing. So I don't think early on I really knew how to deal with it, and I kind of put it in the back of my mind more so and not really thought about it. But as you get older, those things, you know, resurface, and now you're dealing with a whole nother set of problems. So,
without a doubt,
yeah, and still to this day, that, you know, I think I'm dealing with. I've you know, over the years, and, you know, most recently, you know, probably a few years ago, just, you know, wondering, you know, everything that I've done. You know, is it enough? You know what I mean? I didn't make it to the NBA. I did play professionally, but, you know, just had these expectations that you have of yourself, and when you don't reach those goals, it could be from here to here, and really quick. And
what it feels like.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling sometimes. And
what do you think made that come up for you a few years ago, to start asking yourself that question?
I think, again, just the transition, and what am I going to do with myself? You know, where am I going to put, you know, this skill set that I have from basketball into another area, right? What helped me was I always like giving back. I always like helping people. So that's kind of where I wanted to put it towards helping out other people, towards helping the youth, more specifically the kids, to kind of give them that path, and give them like a foresight to where, hey, this is what it's going to look like. This is what you're going to run into. Just be ready for it, you know. And I don't think I was really given that. It was just more so once I you know, hit it head on, it's just like, all right, now how do I deal with it?
So what would you say are those big things, like those big learning messages that parents, coaches, people who are mentors could teach kids at a younger age so that they're prepared for it? That,
you know, the thing that you put your heart and soul into, and that your sweat, blood, and tears into, ends eventually. The sport, it ends eventually. It's something that doesn't really last long for much people. You're really done at age 28, 30 years old. If you're lucky
and exceptionally good.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. If you're lucky and really good at it. So you still got, you know, more than half of your life to live. So what do I do with that? What do I do with, you know, something that I can't do anymore, and I've been doing it since I was a kid, you know, yeah. and something that you're doing every single day of your life. You know, and like I said, put so much time and effort into, and when it's done, you kind of hit you know, like a depression.
It is. A lot of people actually do experience an episode of depression.
Yeah.
It's like coming off of the pedestal, right?
And I don't think people really, especially where I come from, they don't even know what depression is or what it feels like. They're just like, they deal with it. They're just like,
they suppress it. They try not to feel it. Do you think you did go through a depression?
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't know what it was, or what.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't really identify it as depression, because you don't want to be that person to be like, man, I'm depressed, right? You don't, but yeah, for sure.
Because it would be weakness, or it would be like emotional vulnerability, and you're a big guy, you know, that's not how you're supposed to show yourself.
And those were the times where I like to be alone anyway, but those are the times where you're really alone, and now you're like with those thoughts, you know, wondering, am I good enough? And,
did I do enough?
Did I do enough? And that's where your support system comes into play. But Another thing, a factor that comes in is trust. Like when you talk to these people, can I trust them with my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions? A lot of people, use that as leverage or like try to hold it over your head,
manipulate you.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's hard to, how to navigate that and where to go with it. So
it's really hard. Who did you turn to? Because part of it is, and what I hear in that, and it's so common, it's like starting to have that awareness of like, oh my God, all right, now I'm feeling something that is completely new. It's terrifying, but I'm lost right now.
Yeah.
You're alone with those thoughts. You've never felt more alone or lonely or lost in your life. And then you start to realize, I have to talk to somebody here. Like, I don't want to be alone in this. And so you start to reach out, maybe a couple people at a time. How do you know who, or who did you reach out to?
So, my mom and my dad when he was around at the time. But again, I think they were kind of gentle with it. They didn't want to, go push too much to where, they were trying to, hey, well, just sit and tell me what everything. They just kind of like little by little. But I was also lucky enough to have a really good friend by the name of Mookie Jones, who played at Syracuse, and he went through similar things. So we would almost bounce stuff off of each other.
Yeah.
And I think it really helps when you have somebody who's experienced it and been through it, and you could trust them and they're not judging you by any means. They're just listening to you. They're not trying to give you any advice. They're just sitting there listening. And we could kind of do that for each other. And sometimes you don't need the advice. Sometimes you just need somebody to listen to you and hear you out.
And make you not feel alone. We talk about that all the time. It's like holding space, right? And holding space means actually just being in that dark place with somebody and validating them and helping them stay in it so that they can emotionally experience it, as opposed to feeling shame about it, which makes you suppress it. Right. It's like, it's okay you feel this way. I got you. Like, tell me more.
Yeah. And for me, I didn't... Some of those feelings and emotions I didn't understand. I and maybe still to this day I don't. But I guess talking about them and getting it out there, and then talking about them and getting them out there, it's hard. It's not easy because sometimes you don't even know what it is.
Absolutely.
So how do I can't even explain it in words. I can't explain the feeling that's coming up. I don't know if it is this.
That's right. And it's okay to not know. And that's, I think, what, like, for me as a therapist, I did not grow up wanting to be a therapist. I didn't even know really what it was. Yeah. But now, having done it for 20 years, a big part of it is, one of the things that I say is compassionate curiosity, where it's compassion for yourself about why you might be feeling something, but just being curious about it without that element of shame attached. Like, you're not judging yourself. There's nothing wrong with you, right? And so it's this assumption that, because I know I'm a good person in my heart, and you said that, you're like, I've always had a heart of gold, I can hold myself. I can trust myself that I can navigate and explore this and be curious about it, because I'm not going to find something really scary that I did that is horrible. I just want to understand more. So then you start to release it, and you start to learn different things to do with it and understand it more and integrate it into who you are. So it's not something you're running away from or a feeling you're running away from.
Right.
You just it's part of your process.
And so for me, I know I hold it against myself because, excuse me, when I didn't make it to the NBA, a lot of people that were in my life before weren't there anymore, right? So
because you didn't make it into the NBA?
I mean, they're not going to say that, but yeah, like a lot of people that were there, they're not there anymore, or just got really quiet on that side, So that messes with your mind, and thinking, all right,
messes with your heart.
Yeah, no question.
Hurts.
They were there only for that period of time because you could only bring this for them, or they were only supporting you because you were good at this. They could be around people that maybe they could connect with that would help them.
Right.
So now you feel used almost.
Like transactional.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've dealt with that. And I've dealt with a lot of my friends who are my really good friends. They've dealt with that. Even, I got friends one of my best friends, played for in the NBA for 13 years, and made a whole lot of money. But I know when he retired, a lot of those people that were around weren't around anymore, so I could see him dealing with that, and he's still working through, his stuff as well. But I think just, again, going back to having those people who've had those same experiences and been through those same type of things, it really helps you out. And one thing that really helped me is, like I said before, giving back to people. Like that's something that really, it's almost like it feels like it fills a void. You know,
it sounds like a sense of purpose.
Yeah, no question. Like, so when I started the foundation, and I look forward to the turkey drive and the back to school events and doing the camps. And like I do the camps, I tell the kids, I'm realistic with them. Look, we talked about it at the beginning. It's only point whatever percent that go to college and play college sports. This isn't the stuff that we're teaching you here. It's more about giving you the life skills to be able to deal with the things that are coming up as you get older, and to be able to function in groups or be able to go and work with a team. Try to do your own business, whatever it is. Those are the things that are going to be more likely for you rather than being a college athlete. And that's what I kind of try to preach more, because that's more the realistic side of things. Again, not trying to be a Debbie Downer with their dreams. Yeah, we want you to do that, but just know it's an everyday thing, and the sacrifice that you need to do to try to get there. I sacrificed like my whole childhood. I didn't do anything as a kid as far as like going out to park. I didn't do that stuff.
Yeah.
And then after my junior year, I went away. I moved and went to Oak Hill, which is in the middle of the Blue Ridge Mountains. I was just there like last week. I did a camp. I look at it and I go there. I'm like, man, I like this way better than when I was 16.
Because you're like, I can appreciate the beauty here.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's
in the it's beautiful, But back then, as a 16-year-old kid going there without my family, it's like, what the heck's going on? You know. So it was a big change. But
were you ever nervous or scared? Like, do you ever get that feeling
as a kid?
Yeah.
Again, I don't think I would. Yeah, for sure, nervous, but I think it was more like excited and kind of jumping at the chance to want to.
I always talk to my kids about nerve-sighted.
Yeah,
it's like the merging of the two.
Yeah. So I always used to get sweaty palms before the game. You want to do well. That's normal. Like
it matters to you.
Exactly, and that's why if I wasn't getting nervous about it, if I wasn't excited about, then something's wrong, because it doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah. Right? So if I go into like speaking to these kids or doing a camp, it's not nerves. It's now more so it's excitement, because I've done it. So I kind of know what I'm going to do, but it means something to you. Like I want you to get something out of this. It's not just I've been to tons of camps where they just roll the ball out and just like, go ahead, but when you come to do something with me, I'm going to make sure you're engaged and you're going to learn something more than basketball. Yeah, you're going to get better at basketball. I'm going to give you some stuff to where you can work on. You're going to be better. But I want you to really become a better person and know what to expect as you get older and what you're going to have to deal with, because and these kids got it way harder than we did, just because it's so many more distractions, so much more coming at them with the social media and the technology. It's like boom, boom, boom. Everywhere you go, you're being judged, or you got to be like this. This is the expectation you got to be at a young age, which is ridiculous, So
there's so much pressure.
Yeah, so much pressure. So equipping these kids with the tools at a young age to be able to deal with that is really important to me, and it means something to me. So like that, from my passion with basketball opened up so many doors, and it led me to this right here, to helping others. Through the game, still do, but there's a bunch of different avenues now that I could go to because of the networking and the connections that I made through basketball. Because let's be real, and I know it. Like when they see the foundation, Eric Devendorf, I've made a pretty good name for myself in Syracuse, but without basketball, these people wouldn't be, coming to me, and that's just the reality of it. Right. So I'm so grateful for what the game of basketball has done to me and where it's led me to be able to help out these people and these kids.
What's so cool about that too is that I can hear almost like the evolution of you in the way you just described that, where it's like you start with this passion for basketball, almost like not paying attention to the impact that it's having on your life, your relationships, like your identity.
Right.
But you just navigated that, get to a point where you're like at this pinnacle, right? I mean, you have been uber successful in basketball, and then recognize, okay, like this is it. This is sort of the end of the road for me. And this period of almost like a downswing, and then starting to recalibrate, like really redefine what your life matters, who you are as a person underneath it all.
Yeah.
And you were able to like dig your way out of that in a way that actually truly impacts so many people.
And I had to let go of a lot.
Okay.
So I had to, I've had friends go to the NBA who I feel like, oh, I'm better than him. I was better than him, but every situation is different. You know, if once you really know what the NBA is, it's all about fit. It's not about who's better, right? In some circumstances, obviously, you got the superstars who are just unbelievable. They're going to make it regardless, but it's about fit. It's about situation. It's a lot of things that come into play. And I think,
people, right time.
Yeah, no question. And I think I held that in my heart. I was almost like, like, why is he there and I'm not? I was way better than him. I know even to this day, I'll go play with guys with him. And it's like, man, I'm better than this guy. Why couldn't I? You have those thoughts, but those were the thoughts that were holding me back, from really reaching to that next chapter of my life. So the more I held on to that, the more it was not letting me get to where I really needed to get to whatever God had in store for me.
How did you let that go?
How did I let that go? I just, I just had to let it be. And then I had to come to terms with like, this is just what it is. Like this is how life works sometimes. It's gonna be ups, it's gonna be downs, it's gonna be in betweens. And the more you hold on to like, things that you feel that went wrong, the more it's taken away from you to take a jump to that next level.
Totally.
That's really what it is for me. I had to let go to experience more.
That's such an interesting idea. And I think that so many people have that with different parts or aspects of their life, not just sports, but often in sports or any kind of high achieving person, whether it be in business or whatever it is. But I think it's almost like you write your future, like whether or not you intend to, people write their future, they envision it, they fantasize about it, they set their sights on something. And when life happens, which it does, and throws you a curveball, there's a grief process that also happens.
Yeah.
And that's what I hear you haven't gone through.
Well, especially when you put a lot of hard work into it, right? Because it's like, what more could I have done? You know what I mean? And then you start going back and nitpicking things like, oh, I could have did this, I could have did that. But again, all that stuff is just holding you back from going forward and being positive with whatever else you're trying to do. So I had to let go of that stuff. And
you have to like surrender to it.
No question.
You're like, I can't control this. So I have to surrender to what is not in my control.
Yeah. You have to surrender, and then you kind of you just go with the flow, and then you just deal with it as it comes. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. When you plan an event, it's not going to go exactly how you planned it. You're going to have to go pivot a little bit.
Absolutely.
And the more comfortable you get dealing with those pivots, the easier it's going to be able to handle things, right?
Which always happens.
Always, it's something that you should expect going into it, right? You have like I do events for the foundations now, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get these sponsorships and whatever it is you're doing, or people like they back out late, when you got a week left, so you got to pivot, you got to figure it out. It's just life. You have to deal with it, and you got to expect it. And the more you expect it, and the more you learn how to deal with it, the easier everything else is, and it's still right. Is it super easy? No, but it's something that you, the more you do something, the more reps you get, the easier it's going to become, right? So the more you deal with adversity, the more that you know how to go about it.
Yeah. Do you think then? I mean, and I hear you saying like even when you're teaching at your camps. You're coaching at your camps, but you're coaching about life as much as basketball, if not more, right? And that's even like when I was teaching that class, that was my intention too, right? As I'm like, I know you're all superstars here, right? And yet what I want to teach you about is life. I want to teach you about your core values, whatever they are for you. I want to teach you about your personality and like what you can expect as far as relationships go and how you can navigate that and all this kind of stuff. It's when you're 18, 19 years old, you may not be ready to hear those messages. And same thing for the kids in your camps. Like they may not be ready to hear all of these messages.
Right. Most of them probably aren't, but it's going to be here. It's like planting the seed, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing. What you just said is like, if you keep doing the reps, then you're going to be able to make that shot, right? Yeah. You can practice it. And so that's what I hear you doing. That's what I do. And so it's like the more people can just keep planting these seeds where it's like, have your passion. Like, failure is okay. It's a growth opportunity. Parents, let your kids be who they are and foster that, right? It's like all these things on repeat. But I guess the question is, do you think that we can teach that? Or do you think, like, I had to learn it on my own, no matter how many times I heard the lesson? Yeah. I'm hearing that you also needed to hear it on your own.
Yeah. You got to go through it.
You got to go through it.
You got to experience it. You could tell somebody till you're blue in the face. But until they experience it, until they go through it, that's when it really sticks. Yeah. And that's what it was for me. I had to go through it. I had a lot of support, people telling me this is what's, you got to go through it.
Yeah.
Because it's not real until you do.
But then they'll remember. They'll be like, I remember that one time.
No question. And I tell them all the time, you might not hear me now, but when you go through it, that's going to pop back in your mind. So that's why I'm just replaying it to them over and over and over again. And some will get it. Some will be like, oh, I remember, I'm going to make sure I'm aware of this or whatever it is. But I mean, experience is the ultimate teacher, with anything. Like if I, if you want somebody to be a basketball coach, I'm not going to hire a carpenter, right? I want somebody who's been in the fire, who's, that's why, like, these people who are talking about basketball all the time, you could read all the books, you could do all this and that, but until you've been through the fire and you've really done it, I don't want somebody teaching me who hasn't been in the fire and experienced it. That's just me. I'm not saying, some can't do well with it, but I'm more comfortable with somebody who, if I want you to build my home, I want somebody who's built a couple homes before. You know what I mean? So I want somebody who's been in the fire, who's experienced it, who knows how to deal with it. And that's the ultimate teacher, is experience. You have to go through it. What they say, you have to go through it to get to it.
It almost sounds like you get as lit up about teaching and coaching as you did about playing.
Yeah.
Is that true or not really?
Yeah, no question. I love to help people. And basketball was just my calling. Like, that was my gift that God gave me. And now that it's done with that, I'm not playing. I've shifted to where I can still use basketball as a leverage, right? But now it's through coaching or the platform that Syracuse gave me to where I could run an event. So now in this community, I'm able to get into rooms where a lot of people couldn't. And it's just because I play ball. Because, man, so all the people that I have connected through the foundation, I rarely reach out to people. It's them reaching out to me.
Yeah.
Because and it's all because of they had a memory of me playing when they were with their family that made them feel this type of way. And they wanted to almost like give that back in return. So, hey.
There's a game that everybody always references.
Yeah, 6OT.
Yeah.
So, I've heard all type of stories, and that makes me feel good. I'll sit and listen to you for a little bit, talk about that memory and what it did for you and your family. And now just because of that, I'm able to get in there and they want to help me out with, whatever it is. And that'd be silly if I'm not going to leverage that, right?
Absolutely.
Because I'm leveraging it to help somebody out, and then I think once you start connected through that, people see what you're doing, you're helping people, and now it's just like a whole big thing.
Community.
And that's what the community has done for me. They've supported me 100%, backed everything that I've done. You can't do anything by yourself.
Yeah. Now, who would you say are the people who've been the most influential? I mean, you've referenced your parents several times.
Yeah. So my parents for sure, but my kids, my daughters. I think just leaving something for them, right? Seeing, they could see their dad and all the positivity that he spread throughout the community, all the great things that he's been able to do.
What kind of dad are you?
Emotional dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like when I talk about my girls, I get emotional.
It's like a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no question. And they've seen, I've cried in front of them. It's just, Dad, why are you crying? Well, just because I could be thinking about.
I love you so much.
Yeah. I could be thinking about something that's totally doesn't have to do with the situation that we're in. But just seeing them, grow up and learn and prosper and do good things with their lives, it brings a lot of joy to me. So when you have kids in the community and people are going up to them and saying, man, I remember watching your dad, or, he's doing so much good things in the community. And then they're coming back and telling you about it. it means a lot, because you want your kids to look at you as a good person, right, and a great father. And I was a young dad. I had my girls in school. I was 21 when I had my oldest daughter, and 23 when I had my second, and then I got a son coming in August. Yeah. So I get to start all over again. But you know what? Those girls mean the most to me. And again,
do you think they're proud of you?
I think so. Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely do. And I go back to like experience and being a parent, right? You never knew what your parents were telling you until you become a parent. And then I called my mom. I remember you were right. Like it doesn't matter what's going on. You're worrying every day. Nothing has to be happening. It's just in your mind. Okay, I hope they're all right. I hope everything's going well at school. Whatever it is, you just want them to be okay because their hurt is your hurt.
Absolutely.
So those girls inspire me to continue to do better. And I just recently had a women's event through the foundation. I want to say in March. It was to support the girls in our ED23 Hoops program to help raise money so they could participate in camps and teams and things like that. And my daughters were there. So, I went up and did my little speech or whatever. And, to do that in front of her and to say their name and just to have them be there in front of the, packed house and hear their dad speak for a good cause. It meant a whole lot. And I know they're young right now, but they'll remember that, and that'll stick with them. And that means a lot.
Have they ever seen you do your thing before like that? I mean, they didn't really get to see you play, right?
Right. Well, so they were young. They're definitely young. So when I played in the TBT and all that, they got to see me play there. So they know the fire that I got.
Okay.
And they've been to the gym with me, so they get it. They see that. But that was
what is that? What is it what is that fire? You kind of like joke about it.
Oh, just I'm when I'm out on the court, it's a whole different. I'm locked in. That competitive spirit is coming out. And it's not back down. It's aggressive.
You're confident. Like that's
yeah. Well, some people would say different, I guess, right? But
what would they say?
They'd say cocky or brash or whatever it might be, like bad boy, whatever you want to say. But for me, how I grew up, I always play with older kids. That I had to play with an edge. Yep. I had to play with that fire in me. That's what kind of separated me, right? Everybody's really good, right?
Yeah.
When you get to a certain level, the skills they're all there. And I'm not the most athletic. I wasn't the strongest dude. That edge that I play with, that gave me my separation.
Okay.
Because that like relentlessness and just continue to go and being aggressive, like and not worrying if I fall down or if I get my shot blocked. Boom, boom, consistently going back at you.
The other thing that I think, like even being, a mom on the sidelines, it's like, and I've got 3 kids, we've got 6 blended together. We're like the Brady Bunch.
Okay.
And so they're all very different. And the way that they've approached athletics is all very different. But one of the things that I see, not just in my kids, but it's in kids across the board, it's like this element of self-doubt. Right. And managing that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not putting pressure on them.
Right.
They know that they could walk away from this and it would be like, a conversation maybe, but they're not disappointing me. They're not doing it for me.
Yeah.
It's like for them, driven by them. But they still, not just my kids, but so many that I've worked with or talked to, that it's this self-doubt.
Yeah. So my oldest is track really good. So they broke for her 4x100 team at Liverpool, broke all the school records, all the sectional records. They were actually just 8th in the country.
Wow.
Like in the 4x100. My youngest competitive cheer. Mm-hmm. So that's like those sports, like especially
I've got
cheer,
one going into that.
Oh, it's a lot of pressure. Just how you look, it's just a lot. So regardless of how they do, I just always make sure I tell them I'm proud of them. And if you want to be good at it, you got to put that extra effort into it. Mm-hmm. Whether it's outside of practice, in the summer, whatever it is, that's up to you. If you don't, then that's cool. It's just being proud of them and what they're doing, and not really. I'm not gonna praise them too much, right? And I'm not gonna be a downer.
Yep.
Too much. It's just even keel. Like, proud of you, what you're doing. It's awesome to see you doing well.
You're working hard at it.
You're working hard. And next time, hey, just try to run harder next time. Do what you can. Control what you can control. Maybe you got to get in and do a little bit extra, whatever it is. But and never really trying to put too much pressure on them or give them too much praise or be too much of a downer. That my parents were always like that with me. It never would be too high or too low. Always like even keel with it. And that helped me. I think going through my career in stages of my basketball career. And I think once you get to a certain stage, like a high level, the parents aren't even in the question anymore. It's kind of
they're not even around.
It's the media, right? It's the media. It's the coaches and sometimes teammates that put a lot of pressure, and then you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself.
I imagine at some point you had to navigate that with coaches or teammates, who were not as positive as your parents were, and coaches I know can be pretty harsh.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have great coaches. Obviously, Coach Boeheim, Hall of Fame coach, one of the greatest of all time. And then my high school coach, Coach Steve Smith at Oak Hill, was one of the greatest of all time, too. He's a Hall of Famer as well. So those guys knew how to. That's why they're in the Hall of Fame. They knew how to do it. They knew what buttons to press. This guy you can't do this with this guy, but you can with this guy. I was a guy you could get on. It didn't. I've had that since I was young. My AAU coaches, my travel coaches, they were just on you. They didn't know anything different. You know what I mean? But I could take it. It was something that it didn't bother me. I was a competitive guy. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me go out here and show them. So when I got to that level, when the coaches were on me, it didn't really matter. I was already dealing with it from a young age.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you had that tolerance and the resilience that was built up. You're like, I can do this. I can navigate this.
Absolutely. That's what I was used to. So if you weren't giving it to me like that, I was like, what's going on? You know what I mean?
It's almost like you don't care about me or I'm invisible.
Yeah. Exactly. And coach would say that. They would say, hey, you should start worrying when I'm not talking to you, when I'm not on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's your style of coaching?
Passionate. I'd be aggressive. I'm not going to be grabbing your jersey in your face, but I'm going to let you know what you need to get done, and then you have to mix it up with taking them, by themselves and kind of, look, this is what I need you to do. But during the game, I'm going to make sure you know. Yeah. So I would say it's a passionate coaching, and I'm going to get my point across.
Well, and that's part of this. I think, too, it's like your way of being in relationships. Yeah. It sounds like you've learned so much throughout your whole entire life. What works, what doesn't. You
have to know, sorry to interrupt, but you have to know that that you care about them. Yeah. They have to know that. And they have to know it's coming from the heart. That's what place. And again, I go back to, me speaking at the camps. You could hear it in my voice and how it means something to me, right? If it didn't mean something to me, I'm not gonna be doing it. I'd be wasting my time. Yeah. And so you're gonna feel me. Like I tell the kids, I was like, you can feel my energy, you can feel my passion. I need that. I need you to give that back to me because I know it means something to you. Yeah. Right. So it's coming from a place of I care.
Absolutely. My son plays soccer, and he plays in this very competitive team. And so the coach, when he first started on that team, pulled me and him aside. He's like, I need mom and you. Pulled us both aside, and he's like, listen, I can be loud. I can be critical. I forget exactly what he said, but it was basically that sentiment. He's like, I am going to be hard on you sometimes. It's coming from a place of love and to get you to grow. Yes. Are you going to be okay with that, mom? Are you going to be okay with that kid? And we're both like, okay, but I loved how he did that because it set the whole tone, and he's never been inappropriate with it. It's never too harsh.
It's a fine line, right?
It's the expectation.
Yeah, no, and you're not going to, look, you could coach without being inappropriate with it. Again, it's coming from a place of you care, right? You're passionate about what you're doing, and you want to help these kids grow in more places than one. Just because you don't go play college ball doesn't mean you can't grow from this experience, right? In other, you might want to become a coach, right? Like, and the kids I do, but also for the coaches who help me doing it, I tell them to watch, just watch and be there and learn, because this is something that you might want to do, So you're also learning as you're helping the kids. Mm-hmm. You know,
totally.
so that's, I want to help the kids, but I don't want to help other people connect and learn to, follow their passion. We have interns from Lemoyne, Syracuse, who work with the foundation, who work with the hoop side, and that's something that I'm really proud of too. Is, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many kids they be like they keep coming back. They reference, hey, you want to go here, you know, because they're having fun, they're enjoying it, but they're learning from it. Is it work? Yeah, it's work, but you're going to learn a lot from it, and then you're going to know, hey, this is what I want to do, or this is not what I want to do.
Well, and it's like this depth that comes with it. It's not just like surface level stuff.
You have to have depth.
Yeah.
Surface level stuff isn't for me.
So let me ask you this then. Speaking of depth, have you done enough? Do you feel like you have done enough? Are you good enough?
You know what? Just how I am and how I'm built, you'll never feel like you've done enough. You know, I think your whole life you're just going to try to continue to be more, give more, and do more, and grow more. That's a lifelong thing. Like there's no pinnacle, there's no peak that you can reach. You know, it's just like you continue to learn and get better in certain areas of your life, and then you apply it. And then hopefully when you're doing that, you're helping other people do the same thing. You know, they could kind of see how you're going about it. And then be confident about why you're doing it, because when you're confident, then people, they recognize that, and when they see you're confident in what you're doing, then they're more engaged, and you're more believable, right?
It's
some
authentic.
people do it. Some people, exactly. That's the word right there. You're authentic. When you have authenticity in the room, people are glued in.
Do you think if you had gone pro, and I know this is maybe impossible to answer, but if you had gone and you were in the NBA, you hit that, you would have had as much personal growth?
No, I always say God knew I couldn't handle that at that age, with that money. He knew I couldn't.
Money is a whole other thing.
Yeah, right. Well, just the whole, everything that comes with it, being in the NBA and having all the money, having all the attention. I wasn't in the right mindset at that time. I would have had, really speak, I had all type of kids. Seriously, like I'd have blew my mind. Hopefully not, but I just would. My mind wasn't in the right place to where it is now, and everything's happened for a reason. My journey was different. Everyone's journey is different. So I'm just grateful for, what he's done for me in the positions that he's put me in to learn, and I just had to. Keep on going from there. But
so is it fair to say then you're grateful?
No question, 100 every day
for not getting into the NBA, for not reaching this goal.
I'm grateful for every position that I was put in. Everything that did happen, everything that didn't happen, it works in my favor because
you are at where you're at now, and you are happy.
That's the mindset you got to have. Everything is working in your favor. Good, bad, or indifferent.
You've gone through a lot of work, I can tell, self-reflection, really digging in deep.
Yeah,
with
still
who
a lot
you
to go too,
Absolutely, that's the stuff that's never done, right? So are you good enough? Yes. But are you done? No.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. You have to have that self-worth, knowing that you are good. This is, I should be able to have this, or, I can accomplish this, or I'm worthy of this, whatever it is, even though you don't have it. It's like you manifesting,
totally.
Things that so first you got to believe that you're worthy of it. Right. And then you put the work in to be able to get there and make it happen. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But I think when you continually to work on yourself and make that progress, you do things that you thought you never ever would have been able to do.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And maybe even land in a life that you never thought that you would actually have.
Ever. So I do the broadcasting stuff. I could have never told you that I was going to be working for ESPN, being a broadcaster, or being on the radio, any of that stuff. That was something that just kind of fell in my lap, to where, hey, we need you to start doing, analyzing the Syracuse games locally. Turning into me having a podcast, people asking me to do a podcast. And then it turned in 2 years ago to working for ESPN. Now that's almost like going into a full-time gig. So you just never know. When you keep positive, you keep working on yourself. Surround yourself with good people. Good things, come to you.
Which is so crazy to me, like even if there's anybody who could say like, oh, Eric Devendorf, he's a bad boy.
Right.
This is not a bad boy sitting in front of me.
Right.
Like, and it sounds like never was, right? Maybe you play with different level of fierceness on the court. Mm-hmm. That's not character of who you are.
And I think, when the media, they have to.
They spin a story.
Yeah, but they have to sell papers or get clicks, whatever it is. So they have to put something on you. And, that just kind of stuck. That was like what they, what they wanted to see or what they wanted to hear. And then you kind of run with it. But no, I mean, I've never been a bad boy. I was on the court if you only see me play, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many people have came up to me and be like, I didn't think you'd be like this. Well, you didn't know me. You just saw me play basketball.
It's a performance.
Yeah, it's exactly. And when I'm out there, I'm not thinking about what you're thinking of me.
Right.
I'm competing at a high level, and when you're competing at that high of a level, and only people who get to that level would know, who have experienced that, know what it feels like. It's just everything goes out the window, and you're just so locked in that you're not kind of worried about what everybody else is saying or thinking. So when you only see that side, okay, I get that, but when you sit down and have a conversation or really know me, I mean, that doesn't even enter your mind.
No, not at all.
Right.
So what would you say then? Like for the people who have maybe been in the position that you referenced before, maybe they're at the top of their career, whether in sports or business or school or whatever it is, and they've hit an obstacle. Maybe they don't get into their dream school, or they don't get the promotion, or maybe they've, spent too much money over here, whatever it is. They're not hitting that next level, and they're falling down, into this slump, and they're lost. Or maybe something bad has happened. They've had a traumatic experience, whatever it is. What would your advice be to them about what they should do next, how they should shift their perspective, or how they climb out?
First of all, if you don't have those moments, then something's not right. You're not doing enough. You need those adversities. You need those challenges to continue to grow, to find out like who you really are.
Yeah.
To what you're made of, right? And then secondly, just keep going. Like there doesn't really have to be a direction. You just have to keep going and keep being positive about things. And then obviously, as you find your way, you're gonna organize all those things. But if you don't have the challenges and you don't have the adversities, then you're not dreaming big enough and you're not doing enough, right? Yeah. It's just a part of it. The most successful people in the world, unless you were just handed like a trust fund like here, right? And even then, it's like those are the people who really downward spiral because they have no purpose in life,
that's right?
It's just handed to them, right? Like I would never want that. I want to be able to go through those challenges and adversities to figure out who I really am, what I'm made of, right? Can I make it through this, right? And then when you make it to that other side, you're like, man, I don't know why I was even worried about that as much as I was, And then when you get through that, you're going to have another one and another one and another one. So, but again, you're just going to figure out how to deal with it, who to put around you, who's going to support you, care about you and love you. And that's an important thing too, because you want to have people speaking life into you, people who are speaking good things in you, because you're going to have moments where you're just like, man, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I'm made for it. Am I good enough? I've had those all the time. I have those thoughts every day.
Yeah, you question.
That's not you. Your thoughts aren't you. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna have those every day. Now it's just about continue to have the tools to learn and deal with that. To keep moving forward. So just keep going. That's the biggest thing. I just keep going. Surround myself with good people. People are gonna come in. People are gonna fall off. People are gonna stay. Whatever it is. Right, but just continue to be positive. Continue to keep going, and usually things end up working out for you.
Well, I can say that they're certainly working out for you, and I'm so honored that you came on and shared your story and who you really are behind the scenes and what you're made of.
I appreciate it.
So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.